don't want to say passive income because that usually precedes something a little bit scammy, but this is one of the ways that I make money. Hello there. My name's Rachel. I'm an artist and illustrator from Australia, if you're new here. I am doing something a little bit different in today's video. Usually I just do a bit of fun drawing and cute life stuff. Today though, I thought I would take you through my process of creating an illustration suite for sale. This is one of the ways I support myself as an illustrator. There are some pros and cons to it, which I'll get into in the video. There's a lot of work that goes into it, which I'll take you through. I'm really, really pleased with the one that I've just released, so I'm pretty excited to share that with you guys and follow along a little bit of the process. Oh, and while we're here, please subscribe, like, leave a nice comment, whatever you want to do. I would love to hear from you guys, hear what you think about licensing artwork, if you've tried it as an illustrator, if you want to, if you're scared, let me know. Or any other questions you have about working as an artist. All right, let's get into it. I'm going to take you through the whole creative process. If you're just here for the dollar signs and the numbers, probably skip right to the end. That's where I'll get into the really juicy stuff. So as with anything, the most important thing is to figure out what we're going to do. It could go on indefinitely and it could look a lot like procrastination. So I do think at this stage it's a good idea to set yourself some deadlines and some limitations to avoid eternally looking at other people's finished work and never getting around to your own. Of course, another place to draw inspiration from is the Pinterest board. Always very helpful with getting the vibe right. With this illustration suite though, I had a pretty clear idea of how I wanted it to feel and what I wanted to evoke. There were a couple of really tenuously linked inspiration sources that I won't get into because in terms of visuals, it doesn't really make sense, but to me, the way they make me feel were part of what inspired this suite. Anyway, on to the next step. After looking at books for a little while and wasting a bit of time and just getting into the right headspace, I do make lists of either what the feelings I'm trying to capture are, or what some of the actual illustrations will be, like what the subjects are. I guess this is kind of, I have a two-track brain. I think in words and I think in pictures, so I do write lists of things that I plan to draw. But that's just part of my process. It might be different for you. You might go straight to thumbnailing all of the illustrations and sketches that would make up part of the theme. Another thing that I was getting my head around at this stage in the process is the colour palette. That may or may not come early in the piece, or it might be changed later on. I usually stick to a pretty limited colour palette, and those things are easy to edit towards the end anyway. The next place I go is to the iPad and the Procreate app to do some thumbnailing. I am a pretty messy thumbnail sketcher. I do some really appalling sketches. I feel like I'm really exposing myself here by showing you guys just how bad my under sketches can be. I think it's because I'm pretty gestural with my drawing, and especially at the composition stage, I like things to be really loose and loopy and scratchy because I think that's where you get the nice placement from and the nice movement from. And also just to get those ideas down so you have an idea of what you want to put where before all those great ideas that are there at the start of a project go running away into the corners of the hard work. So I'll do all my thumbnailing and then some loose composition sketches, and then I start working on tighter and tighter iterations of each sketch until we get to the final one. During this stage, I do seek out a lot of reference imagery. I try to be ethical in that use by making sure I'm combining reference images. I'm not taking too much from the one image and not infringing anyone's copyright. And with something like this, I'll be creating anywhere between like 4, maybe towards 10 key sketches that make up the body of the illustration suite. This one was a little bit different. I was way more detailed than what I usually am. The style was just really different, probably because it's the first one I've worked on in a long time. I had no real idea why I was doing it. I was just kind of doing it for the love of it. So it did come out a little bit different to the other ones that I've created for Creative Market in the past. I probably wouldn't recommend putting this much detail into these kind of jobs. This is the sort of detail that I would reserve for commission work. So this is a really special suite. It is really different. So anyway, at the end of the day, we've got this whole gallery of Procreate drawings. Again, this is my process. I like to work in raster, in Procreate, and then import it into Illustrator and vectorize it there. It's different for everybody. Some people work straight into Vector. I wish I was you. It would be much easier that way, but I just haven't learnt or taught myself. So this step is exporting all of the illustrations out of Procreate onto my MacBook and into Illustrator, and sometimes into Photoshop as well to do a little bit of cleanup before I even take it into Illustrator. So within Illustrator, I am kind of complicating things for myself a lot here. This is where all of the long slog takes place. The fun times of actually illustrating stuff is over, and I'm separating all of the illustrations onto their separate artboards, and they are also on their own layers, and then within those layers the colours exist on separate layers, so they can be turned on and off easily, they can be colour edited, and they can be moved. This is if the client who purchases the illustrations can actually use Illustrator. A lot of the time they don't. A lot of the time they just need a transparent PNG, which is fine. I just try and provide as many useful files as I possibly can. But anyway, what that amounts to is a lot of time spent at the computer, moving things around, renaming things, trying to clean up, basically where I might have been lazy in the past. So this gives you a little look at the kind of layer situation I've got going on. I don't know if this is the best way to do it, and I don't know if it makes sense to other designers. I'd love to hear from you guys about your processes and how you set up your design files. Am I being weird? Is this normal? Let me know. So anyway, I usually post my illustration suites on Creative Market and sell them through that platform. I've always had a pretty good experience with it. This one, however, I sold through my website just for one reason, and it's that I think the licensing terms on Creative Market are not super clear about using illustrations to create digital assets. So I've had people purchase my illustrations, they add a bit of type or change colours and then resell them on as digital assets, which means I kind of lose control of the licensing. They end up on Temu or Shein, stuff like that. So I wanted to make sure I had a licensing agreement that was super clear about not using the illustrations to be resold as digital assets. So I did that all through my own website. Now, I've run the numbers on this. At time of publication, I've made about $1,200 selling this illustration suite through my website. I take 100% of the cut there. I also did the numbers on how long it took me to put this together. It was about 150 hours, so if we add that up, it's about $8 an hour. I wouldn't recommend it. And now, this is going to sound a little bit like a Creative Market sponsored post, but if I was posting this to Creative Market and leaving it up there in perpetuity, it would probably be worthwhile. And here's why. One of the major drawcards of using Creative Market, though, is that that platform has incredibly powerful marketing and they already have a huge customer base. So the marketing side of things is really already taken care of for you. And so it does kind of become true passive income. Whereas with putting them up on my personal website, I have to do the marketing. Like a lot of artists, I don't feel super comfortable pushing my product out onto people, self-promoting, all that kind of stuff feels really icky. So the reach is not as far, the marketing's not as good. So that's the trade-off with doing it privately. Again, not a sponsored post, but I did want to share my experience with you guys. Now this is my Creative Market store. There's only a few things on there, like look, there's 8 products. So I've been sharing work on there for maybe, I would say not even 4 years. This one is my best-selling illustration suite. It's been up for a couple of years now, I think. I've seen it appear on all kinds of apparel in all kinds of places. It's pretty amazing. And if we get down to the brass tacks of it, it has made me nearly $6,000 over the time it's been up there. And my time on the site overall has made me $15,000. So make of that what you will.